going to shift everybody here to the middle. So if you guys can shift over here to the middle spot right there for you, Jen. There you go, right there, front row. Front row, printing room up front. Up front. Shift over. All right. Hello, 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 and welcome to the Hope for Prisons Tuesday night huddle up. I am Jon Ponder, founder and CEO, and sometimes the janitor. We are so glad that you are here with us tonight. We have an absolutely incredible speaker here tonight, one of the greatest leaders I know, not only here in the county, of not only the entire state of Nevada. So thank you so much, very much for showing up. I want to say hello to our friends over inside Nevada Department of Corrections, Casa Grande Transitional Facility. Can you give them a big, gigantic round of applause? Is that the best that we can do? We're going to see if we get a little louder. There we go. Want to give a big shout out to our friends over in the Clark County Detention Center, Unit 2J. Can we give them a round of applause? Woo! Also joining us tonight is our friends over in the city of Las Vegas Detention Center. Thank you guys so very, very much. And all of you who are watching on the Hope for Prisoners Facebook Live page from all over the world, we are so grateful that you have joined us tonight. So in the Hope for Prisoners fashion, we want to see if anybody has any testimonies, something that God has done, some job completion, something that has happened in your life that you can give a popcorn testimony. You guys know what a popcorn testimony is? That's a testimony you get up and you don't act like you're standing at church preaching. It's like a JR, he laughed about it, right? Because he knew. We'll open it up. Any questions? I mean, any testimonies anybody like to share? All right, well, come on up, man. Tell us your name. Look over in the camera right there. Tell us your name. And what is that testimony you want to share?
My name is Kason Cooper, and yesterday I finished my CDL training. So,
woo! Give him a hand. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. How long did it take you to complete that CDL training? Okay, all right. Give them a hand for that. That is so awesome. And now the work comes for us to be able to get you plugged in with some employment. And I know that there are some CDL partner employees that we have. They start at like $27 an hour. So make sure that you see Earl and Tanya. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Give them a hand for that, man. We're going to jump over to Nevada Department of Corrections. We have someone that wants to give a popcorn testimony. Step up, tell us your name, and what is that testimony you'd like to share?
Hello, my name is Tiara Joseph, and this year I get to apply for my 184 program.
All right. Come back up. For those of us who may not know, and for us people that are watching, what is the 184 program inside Nevada Department of Corrections?
It's a substance abuse program that helps you with your substance abuse and just helps you get out into society and prove yourself.
That is so awesome. We're so very, very proud of you. And we give her a hand, man. We'll make sure we keep praying you through that 184 program. Any other popcorn testimony before we get started? Going once, going twice. Okay, well, go on. Before I introduce you to our speaker, I want to tell you guys to get ready. Look at each other and say, get ready. No, say it like you mean it. Say, get ready. Say, this is going to be good. How you doing, man? You doing good? Good to see you. Before I read his resume, we're just going to bow in prayer. So, Father, we just come before you this evening in the name of Jesus, God, just thanking you for being the magnificent God that you are. Father, we want to thank you for every testimony that you put together in 2023. And in 2024, God, we lay it all down to you, Father. We lay down the Hope for Prisoners program as you are the only hope for the prisoners. All our thoughts, our ideas, our concepts, God, we lay it all down just for you. Father, we're going to lift up every man and woman that are under the sound of my voice, God, that was going to hear from this great leader here today, God. We ask you to open our ears, God, and open our hearts, God, so that we could receive what it is that this great leader is going to share. Father, we pray for him. We ask you to anoint him from the crown of his head to the sole of his feet, God, and take every word that flows out of his mouth, God, and somewhere between his lips and the ears of the hearer, God, your anointing rest on every word so that when they are received in the ears of the hearer, God, they will be received for their intended purpose. God, we love you. We worship you. And pray you this prayer in the matchless name of your son, Jesus Christ. And in Jesus' name, everybody said amen. Amen. All right, I'm going to read through his Bible before I turn the mic over to him. But this guy has accomplished so much. I'm going to see if I can get all the way through it. Does that make sense? Yes. We're talking about Chief Brandon Clarkson. He's been a member of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department for the past 18 years. His experience includes supervisor of the field training program, detective sergeant of the Gangs Crime Bureau, sergeant of the Office of Community Engagements, which he helped to create, sergeant of the Multi-Assault Counterterrorism Actions Capability Section. That's that MATTAC. A lieutenant at K9, narcotics lieutenant, captain of the major violations and narcotics section, captain of the Bolden Area Command, and his most recent assignment as the chief over the West Community Policing Division. The groundwork laid by Chief Clarkson helped LVMPD's Office of Community Engagement be recognized by both law enforcement and the media as a refreshing approach to dealing with some of the most controversial community issues. While assigned to the Organizational Development Bureau Multi-Assault Counterterrorism Actions Capability Section, Chief Clarkson coordinates training for first responder agencies of the Las Vegas Valley. The training was essential in the law enforcement response to the October 1 shooting at the Route 91 concert. If you guys are, please put your hands together and give a big, gigantic, warm, Hope for Prisoners welcome to Chief Brandon Clarkson. Welcome to the Huddle Up.
Thank you.
And I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right, thank you. Thank you for having me. I got to tell you, when Pastor Ponder asked me to come and speak to the group, I've actually never been to a Tuesday. I've been to the Thursday meetings, which are phenomenal, and you hear from a lot of different people, to including law enforcement and things like that. But coming here on a Tuesday, I've always kind of wondered what it was going to be like. You know, you hear a lot about the program and all the good work and things that Pastor Ponder does. So thank you for having me. Thank you for coming on a Tuesday night and taking time out of your day to come listen to me talk. So, you know, I'd asked Pastor Ponder what specifically he wanted me to talk about, and just some of, what worked for me, right? As far as what I've done in my career. I'm a leader for Metro. I'm the chief of police for Metro for the West Side. So that's Bolden Area Command, Northwest Area Command, Summerlin Area Command, Spring Valley Area Command, and Enterprise Area Command. So everything west of the 15 is pretty much what I am the chief over. So, but just I think, as far as leadership, it's important that we get to know each other a little bit, and you get to know about me. So I usually ask, like, where's everybody from? Anybody from Las Vegas? Yeah. Where? California? Alaska? Anybody? There's at least one sometimes. Texas? Nothing? Okay. So across the United States, a lot of us live. I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. I grew up on the east side of town. What high school did everybody go to? Bonanza? Okay. Preppy? Rancho? What else? What else we got? Vegas? New Vegas? Up on Sahara in Hollywood? All right. That's where I met my wife. Go ahead. High Desert State Prison? All right. A little street cred right there. I like it. Where else? Anybody here in Vegas? I went to El Dorado. Anybody else go to El Dorado? You went to Rancho? I went to Western and Cimarron. Okay. Well, you grew up on the east side, so I would say for those who are from Vegas, I usually say, what school does it look like I went to? For Green Valley High School, Valley, yeah, Green Valley, basic, yeah, a bunch of where they have a Starbucks inside the school, and you walk around like that. So no, I went to El Dorado. I grew up in the Browns. Anybody know where the Browns are up on the mountain? Grew up in the Browns, right? And so I say this too is because growing up, I thought I had a great, childhood. I didn't realize that I had a single mom. She was raising, I have an identical twin brother that's also on the department. He's a SWAT sergeant. And, but we grew up single mom, 2 little kids, married my stepdad, who, which I love so much because he decides to take on and marry this woman who has 2 little monster twins. And, it takes a lot for someone to want to come in to do something like that. So I'm very appreciative of my upbringing and my background. And I say these things too is because we all have grown up with a different path. We've all grown up with a different set of environment that make it better. Some people have grown up in Green Valley High School or with the Starbucks inside there, or have different issues and stuff like that. And some people grown up or went to Nevada State Prison for high school and graduated, or they have a GED or whatever issue you have. But we all have a path. And I think that's important because you all have different experiences which contribute to the person you are and what you have to offer to other people. Because I think the biggest thing for being a good human being is what you can give to others. What experiences have you had through your life that you make you more an effective person? Because I think as a human being, it's ingrained in our nature to want to help others, right? For me, it manifested itself, and why I joined the police department is that I really wanted to help my community. I was talking to my friend Rob here a second ago about what it means to me to be a police officer. And, I first met Rob. We did this, it was a leadership thing, and we didn't know anything about each other. We didn't know our backgrounds and everything. And I wanted to meet people. They knew I was a cop because usually, it's like, oh, hey, I met this one cop one time, or oh, I got a ticket this one time, or, it's usually a bad experience. And because there are some, and it was important to me that as a cop, I want to leave people with a good experience. And sometimes it's just how you talk to people too, just like you guys have. It's about a little bit of respect, right? It goes both ways. But I say this is because I happen to be a cop, but I'm born and raised here in Las Vegas. I grew up here. I have a family here. I got married here. I have a brother. I have a family, and I identify as a member of this community and growing up. And then I just happen to be a cop, right? And usually when you see a cop walking down the street, that's a cop, because what do you see? What I wear today, right? And it was important to me to wear a uniform today because I'd like to break some of that down. So I got into this job because I really wanted to help people. I wanted to help this community. I wanted to make it a safer place because people have been here for a long time. This city has gotten absolutely huge, right? Look at Las Vegas, what it was 10 years ago. Look at what we have every single weekend. We were just talking about special events in our meeting this morning. We have 3 Vegas Knights games coming up. We have multiple concerts. We have multiple events. What 10 years ago we would consider a mega weekend. But now it's just an average Friday and Saturday, right? This is what we do every week. We had F1. We were the world stage for 7 days, right? Where the entire world was looking at us. We're about to have Super Bowl, right? And we have the America's Party at New Year's. So it's always something. So growing up, like I said, I went to El Dorado. Before this, I worked as a busboy at a restaurant on the Strip. I did a little busboy at the Hard Rock Cafe. I worked at the Bellagio pool where I set up chairs and towels. And then I finally got to test and become a member of Metro Police Department back in 2005. And then ever since then, it's been, you heard that laundry list of resume that I have. But I've been an opportunity to do a lot of cool things. Those cool things were, it was kind of just circumstance. It's like, what do you want to do? When I first hired on, I thought like, I want to be a homicide detective. I want to learn, those are our best detectives. They're most elite. They know everything about investigations. And I never went to homicide. I decided it's like, it wasn't for me. I wanted to get in a training background. I wanted to help people learn on how to do what I do. I went to field training. I was a field training officer. And I got to teach young cops on how to be a cop. And the biggest tool I told for them is your brain, it's and then your mouth. Because if you can't talk to anybody, like anybody know somebody that can't talk to anybody, they set everyone off. They just immediately just bad attitude or something like that, right? You probably know them. Anybody work with anybody that is an absolute jerk? Yeah, right. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, I have too, and in my career. And but what it means to me is that you have to be able to use your mouth, because I've been able to talk my way out of getting in a fight because I'm fragile. If I'm like I look strong, this is all beach muscle. You don't want to have to fight. You don't want to have to do anything. So you use the gift of gab, right? And a lot of it's just respect or perceived disrespect sometimes too, right? Anybody ever been in that position, right? What happens to your pride? Bruise that ego too, right? It gets you. And so, you got to master your emotions a little bit. And so I've had the opportunity to work around some amazing people too. And I said I got to teach some new officers, but it wasn't before I was taught. I've had the opportunity to have some great mentors in my career, and they helped guide me in a path. And that's why, I really didn't get into the homicide section. Detective work wasn't my jam. I didn't really like it, because it was, I liked going out doing fun stuff. I liked training. You heard that multi-assault counterterrorism action capabilities. That is a long word or a few words to say it's the active shooter response section. And I got to go and train people, because I'll tell you this, if I were to ask you if there was going to be a terrorist attack in Las Vegas, where's it going to happen? The Strip, hands down, right? Every time. And so guess what happened on October 1? We got attacked. Open air venue. Okay. So if we had one. So again, if I were to ask you, all right, we had an attack in Las Vegas, where's the next one going to be? The Strip, or the stadium, right? Anywhere there's people and property, what's the world stage? And so it was important to me to help our critical infrastructure and our people, because anybody know that somebody that was at 1 October? Anybody at 1 October? Yeah, friend, family, somebody or that it may not even say anything, has there or been affected by it. I have really good friends. We lost one of my friends, who was an officer. My brother was shot in the neck that night. So I nearly lost my brother. He's full recovery, still super handsome. And you got it. Yeah, he's my twin. So, but it's that's how important it is to do a little bit better, and to take what I know to make others better. And that's what you have to do. You take what you know, because anybody been a part of this program, Hope for Prisoners? Know people that's been a part of it? So one thing I talk about is your experience and giving back, because you've learned a thing or two over your experience, things that I've never been a part of or can't speak to. You have credibility, is what I call it, because you've seen stuff and you've been a part of stuff, or you've been exposed to something, or someone, or you've been through something tragic and you've persevered, because every one of you right now has made that commitment, and you've gotten here because you believe in doing better for yourself, your family, for others. And you've made that commitment. And so what I tell you, especially, anybody have children, nephews, brothers, sisters, young, right? Who do they look up to? Who do they love seeing coming through the door when you come to visit or you come home for the night? They're looking at you because they respect you. And so they want to be just like you because you're a kid. I remember seeing my uncles, growing up, or my dad, my stepdad, my dad, my stepdad, I admired. So he was a cop and I wanted to be a cop. He told me to be a firefighter. So I did the fire science stuff. I went to EMT school and things like that. And I'm like, you know what? I had the calling, I had just the itch. I wanted to be a cop because I wanted to do the right thing. So, so what I tell you is that you are now mentors for others, because I can't speak to some of the things and have the credibility to go out to some of these young kids. And some of these young kids they're lost. I've seen, watch the news these days, or you may know somebody, there's a whole thing, when I used to think of influencers, this whole social media thing is all new to me. I don't really do too much with it. But when I thought of a social media influencer, I'm like, it's the person traveling, or it's like the foodie. It's like, you got to try this great place to come eat, or things like that. But there's a whole culture of banging. They're posting fights, they're posting these things, and they want to be an influencer that way. I just learned this probably, 8 months ago. Anybody heard of this? Yeah, it's honestly a little bit tragic. And what scares me is that you look around sometimes, and I look at some of the violence that happens. I'm like, is this real life Grand Theft Auto? You know, and it's because it's kind of horrible. You know, am I wrong? Yeah, and and I say this because I'm growing my family in this town, and I love Las Vegas. What's cool about Las Vegas? We have the best food, the best entertainment. We're 4 hours away from Disneyland. We're 4 hours away from the beach. We're 4 hours away if you ski, which I don't, but if you did that, that'd be great. Maybe I'll, tube on the, the snow. So that's why we have to make the city a little bit better for each of us. And so for you guys, if you have that story, take back to your children, your nephews, your brothers, your sisters, and be that mentor for them. Talk about your experience, because it's going to mean so much more to them. So as far as the rest of my career and kind of my philosophy is, anybody know the golden rule? There it is. Do unto others as you want unto you. So that's really, I've worked for, we talked about working with people that are jerks. Anybody have a bad boss? Toxic, right? Have. Well, I have too throughout my career. And I remember every single little thing that I didn't like, but somehow these things tend to happen, or people still continue to be a bad boss. So for me, I learned the most actually from the bad leadership that I had. I knew what good leadership looked like because it felt good. I was motivated. I was challenged. I was recognized. All the stuff that we need to do, and that my mentors have done for me. And so as I've progressed in my career, I just lean into it. I work hard. I do the best I can. I study. And every assignment that I've had, if I got an opportunity to do something, I was like, if I was asked to do something, it's like MacTac, for example. I was in the Office of Community Engagement at the time, and we had just set this up. We had great programs. We had partnered with Hope for Prisoners. We were doing all this stuff great for the community. And I was like, good, we're rocking and rolling. We got a good team. We've established the Office of Community Engagement, which still exists today. And they're still rocking and rolling, and they're growing. And they said, hey, you want to do this MacTac thing? And I'm like, what is it? And I'm like, well, I got out of my comfort zone a little bit. And I did it. I did it for 3.5 years. And you went through 1 October, and I was like, you know what? I need to have a bigger influence. I want to promote. So I tested. And for us, there's a written examination. There's a practical problem where we run through some scenarios. And then there's an interview process. And I'm kind of helping people through the testing process now for sergeant and lieutenant. And I say, study like you've never want to take that stupid test again, because you can fail, or not pass. You may not even fail. You just won't pass. You got to score the highest you can. And so you just got to commit to the process. And I'll kind of circle back why I think that's important. But I got to test for lieutenant and went to K9 right away. Luckily I went to our watch commander program, then got selected for K9, and I got to. Who doesn't like dogs? Better be careful. Everyone loves dogs, right? And but I got to hang out with dogs all day, every day. I had this little dog, Curly. We had to retire him because he loved hugs and not drugs. He was a detector dog. Couldn't find drugs to save his life, but man, he would love to hang out. And sorry, excuse me. And so I got to do some cool stuff there, and I got out of my comfort zone. And because I hadn't done it before, and I had to learn all this stuff about K9 and policies and how we use the dogs, and there's training and all the stuff behind it. But I got to learn something that I didn't know before, and it came in even like our tactical training and how they integrate with SWAT, and that their nose is just a magical thing that help us with like SWAT. Like, hey, is there somebody in this house? We get to go and and be safe, or apprehend somebody that could have been stabbing people or things like that. They love what they do. So I got to learn about that, and then I was asked to go do an investigative assignment. I told you I didn't like investigations, but it was out of my comfort zone, and so I decided to do it. And I was like, okay. So I learned a lot about investigations and doing different crime investigations, and then part of that was working with different communities to solve problems. And then I got asked to go to narcotics, and I was like, I don't know anything about drugs, and they're like, hey, well, we need some of that leadership that we can teach you about how to that and I learned so much about narcotics investigations and just the other side of the coin, which was helping people that are suffering through addiction, because you can't arrest your way out of the problem. We have to work on a bunch of different things. I know Rob and I, we've worked on different things since then. I've been in narcotics, and he's watched me grow since I think I was a lieutenant when we first met. And, that was 2 years ago. So, and then I was asked to go to, I was like, you know what? I got to have a bigger impact. So I want to be a captain. So I tested for a captain. I got an opportunity, and I went to major violators and back to narcotics, which I got to train up new lieutenants and help them and really spread what I thought was important. So I say all of this is because each of these things I've gotten to get out of my comfort zone. And, there's a saying, and I can't remember who the original saying was, but I got it from one of my mentors. It was Todd Fasulo, and he goes, get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. And it was so impactful for me. And I was like, you know what? As soon as I started getting comfortable, I'm like, I'm getting the itch. I got to do something else. And luckily I've been asked to do things, but a lot of it was just leaning into your work, mastering your craft, and then doing good, because people recognize, they ask you to be a part of different projects. They ask you to be a part of something. They want to be around you because they want to see how you're doing it. And when you're successful, people like that. They want to see success as well, because they see that you're happy, you're doing great, you're doing good things, and they want to be a part of it. How do you do what you do? And you guys are here, and I can even just see, like, the eyes in this room, you guys get it. And so that's what you guys get to give back. All of those things, and being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and then once you get comfortable, and then challenge in the process and what it is you guys do. I know I'm getting to my 30 minutes, but one thing I also want to tell you that's helped me through my career. You guys know Mujahid Ramadan? Yep, I know you probably do. Active community member. Came and spoke to my academy 18 years ago. And I don't know if he had ever heard this story. So just 6 months ago, I go to the West Side Library. There's a summertime community thing where they're bringing in the dance program. And I got to tell the story. Mujahid brought me down there, and we were talking. And I got to tell the story about just one more. Just one more. So Mujahid, he's a little bit older these days, very, very fit, thin. But that dude had the biggest freaking arms. Like, every time saw him, he'd walk in, and I swear he just had the constant flex. He'd be walking around, giving us our academy demonstration. I'm this skinny little 21-year-old kid. And he was, somebody mentions, like, hey, man, like, you're in really good shape. And he goes, you know why? He goes, because each time I'm doing a set or, rep it out, I think once I'm there, you know what? Just one more. And he, obviously had the big biceps, so he's doing that. Just one more. And that really stuck with me, because when you think about, like, when you're at the point of giving up, just give it one more shot. Do it one more time. Do this one more time, because everyone else will quit. Because it's easy to quit. You're uncomfortable, right? You're going to quit because, you know what? It's too much work, but you just do one more. And then I say one more because the results showed, because he had the biggest biceps I've ever seen. But I say the results will show because when you put in just a little bit more effort than everyone else, it's going to show, because you just do one more. You push it just one more time. You push it just a little bit farther. You take a little bit more chance, and it makes you uncomfortable. But what do we talk about being uncomfortable? Get comfortable doing it, right? And so, as we open it up some questions, because I probably forgot a lot more than I actually talked about, but I wanted to just leave you with a couple of those things. So just to kind of rehash this, because I think in headers and bullet points these days, be the leader that you all are, because you've all have made that first step, or in some point in your life. I mean, the fact that you guys are looking to better yourself and you're here has made that step. Hearing your testimony, that's amazing, man. I'm excited for you, because that's such a journey. It's such a path to try, right? And we're given all these different paths. So be that leader. And so it comes with your mentorship, because you all are brothers, sisters, uncles, fathers, niece, nephews, to somebody. And they're thirsty for that leadership. They're thirsty for that guidance. And for some of you, you've walked a path that other people can't. I can't come in a room and talk about substance abuse, because I haven't had that issue. But I've had really good friends that are, and I've lost my best friend to a heroin overdose. My best friend growing up. And I hadn't talked to him in probably, I don't know, 8 years. And I was a cop by then. Best friend growing up through elementary school to through high school, got into drugs. And, and I think what could we have done different? But anyway, be that mentor for somebody else. Challenge yourself to get uncomfortable, getting comfortable with something, right? So get out there and challenge yourself to do it. And just remember, when things are tough, everyone's expecting you to quit. Everyone is. And when you're successful, some people in your, and maybe in your own communities want to tear you down because they're seeing you doing so well, because they're jealous. And they might be, but be that light, that shining light, because you want to stand out, do just a little bit more than everybody else. Do that one more time. Don't give up. Just keep pushing. Just do one more. Have those big biceps. One more set, or don't quit, right? So that being said, that's just some of my advice. That's what works for me. And I can see that, it'll work for others, because I can only speak from my experience. So that's been my successes. And don't get me wrong, I've had plenty of failures. I've messed up, I picked myself up, I asked for guidance, and I owned it. No one wants to hear an excuse, So just own it and then move forward and then just push a little bit harder.
Deputy Chief Brandon Clarkson, can we give him a hand? Thank you, sir. Good job, brother. Good job. Was that amazing or was that amazing? Hey, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to open it up for some Q&A. Something that Chief Clarkson dropped in this room that resonated with you. We can give you an opportunity to let him know that. Or if it's something you want to ask him to maybe, expound on just a little bit, we're going to open it up to everybody in the room. We're going to open it up to you inside Nevada Department of Correction. If you're watching on the Hope for Prisoners Facebook Live page, make sure you drop it into the chat. And Chad is back there monitoring to chat. Anybody watching on Zoom, we'll make sure that we get to you too. We'll open up here in the room first, and then over to Casa Grande, something that Chief Clarkson dropped in his room that resonated with you. Yes, sir. If you stand up and just tell us your name.
Graham. My name Graham, like graham crackers. Thank you.
How come
Clarkson,
you
just like Kelly Clarkson? So.
I want to say thank you, for the just one more.
Yeah.
And I can relate to that, being comfortable, being uncomfortable, because everything that I didn't want to do initially coming into this program, everything I didn't want to do at work, helped me get to where I am today. Right. So it's just that going that extra mile, taking that extra step, doing just one more, it pays off in the end.
It does.
100%. So thank you for sharing.
Well, just before you go, just tell us, you said that helped you get to where you are today. Can you
Yes.
tell everybody where you are today?
So
Wait, first of all, you used to be inside Casa Grande, right?
yes,
You were right in that room with those people there. Right?
I was sitting in that room where these guys were one point in time watching the huddle.
All right, just tell them where you are today.
I'm the chief engineer at Station Casinos.
Woo! Love it, love it, love it. Very, very proud of you. Right here in the room, any questions or comments that you might have, we'll open it up for Casa Grande. We'd ask you to step up, tell us your name. Is that a hand up over there, Chad? Okay, we'll go into Nevada Department of Corrections. If you'll step up, tell us your name and what is that question or comment that you might have for Chief Clarkson.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Schwarz. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hi. No, thank you, Chief Clarkson, for speaking tonight. I really appreciate hearing about increasing your comfort zone to where once you do something a little bit outside of what you're comfortable with, you increase all of what you're comfortable with until you become a lot more confident in your own ability. Also, when you were talking about like perceived slights, right? It's all just in our head about the negativity that we think is about us. Really, nothing is. But when you were talking about like positive leadership and how you're able to influence those underneath you, I really appreciate that, because we have these downward spirals, right? Where you start doing one negative thing until it becomes easier and more acceptable and socially acceptable with your peers to where you can do more negative things. But the opposite's true, to where if you surround yourself with positive people that are doing the right thing, you have this upward spiral of positivity to where it becomes socially acceptable amongst your peers to do everything right and to like push yourself to excel. So talking about leadership and how you used to have toxic you used to have toxic bosses, you were saying, right? how do you motivate those underneath you to increase their empathy for the people that they serve, as well as like change their worldview and how they perceive those around them, to where they don't have to always go to arresting or, you know, disarming people in whatever ways they have to? How do you de-escalate situations, or how do you teach those underneath you to de-escalate situations more properly?
Yeah, I'm going to give you you get great questions. I'll talk about the verbal persuasion. You know, I call it verbal judo. You know, it's, you know, the art of using your mouth to get out of things. And you know, it's I think part of it is just establishing, you know, so you meet people for the first time, is you're trying to establish a relationship quickly. You know, I can tell you, coming across people in pain and crisis, you know, I don't know anything about, you know, I'll get a call, you know, when I was a young cop, you know, get a call. I don't know anything about what I'm responding to. I just know it's the worst day of their life. It's the worst day of their life because they've gotten a point where the police are coming, or they've called 911 and they're asking for help. Now, I'm not getting calls for like, hey guys, we're having a barbecue today if you want to swing by. You know, I'm getting calls when they're in the most acute crisis that they're having. So I think it's important for us to understand that and keep that in mind. And granted, we have, you know, safety things. You know, I want to go home safe. I have, you know, 3 kids. You know, I love them. They love me. You know, I want to be a part of that life, you know. So it's I think, you know, you know, some people can't talk their way out of a, you know, paper bag or communicate well, and sometimes I think the first step is just relating to somebody, you know, just having that, you know, and trying to, that calm, cool, and collected. Coming in hard all the time isn't always the case, but if you do, you got to be able to bring it down. It's, you know, it's just like if you've had kids, sometimes you got to get on them, but then you love them right away, right? And then so it's like, hey, this is, you know, and usually explaining the why, for me, has always been helpful. Like, hey, this is what happened. This is why we're here. Sometimes it you know, it gets through. Sometimes it doesn't. But I'll tell you, I do that as a leader now. And I think because, you know, if you've been told something like a boss says, hey, do this. Well, I usually like, hey, well, why am I doing this? What's the, you know, like, what do we need to do this? So for me as a boss, like, hey, this is what I need, and this is why. And I know there was another question in there. That was the verbal judo part. Perceived slights. Was that the other one? Or what was your other question? There was 2 or 3 in there, right?
No, that was it. I was just, you know, applauding, you know, how you acknowledge like people's perspectives of how they are being treated. It's not so much that someone's coming at you, right? But it's how you perceive.
100%.
You know,
yeah, absolutely. And I've never taken anything personal. Like, I'll tell you, like, I've been in fights with people that have just, you know, just started throwing punches at me. You know, like, as soon as the fight's done or handcuffs, I would say, hey man, you know, thank you. Thank you for, you know, I'm glad we're okay. But I've never thrown an extra punch. Even when I've chased somebody and I catch them and I put them in handcuffs, and you know, I can tell they're scared. They're like, don't, you know, they may say, hey, don't hit me or something like that. I'm like, hey, I'm not, man. You know, like, we're good. Like, hey, you know, you can calm down now. We're good. I'm too fast. You know, no, just kidding. But you know, I talk to them and it's like, hey, I try to. I'm old now. Trust me. Like running, I'd probably pull a couple hammies. You know, but I always said, hey, you know, you're good. You're safe. You know, we're done. There's no more fight. There's nothing to it. You know, and that's the time, because I got to believe, again, they're going their most acute, stressful moment. And I've worked around, and the office community engagement was probably one of the most enlightening times of my career, because I got to work with different people. I got to meet Jon Ponder. I got to meet so many individuals with such unique, sometimes extreme stories, but it's molded the person they were today, and it's helping them be the better person they are, because you've made the commitment now, right? And obviously this program is very successful. And I can tell you right now, for each of you and everyone that's listening, is that we want to see you succeed. You know, we want to see you succeed. Society wants to see you succeed. They want to, you know, want to hear a story of woe that you have, and then how you overcame. Because we're all about stories of overcoming strife and tragedy. We make movies about it, you know. But I will tell you, you just got to watch out for what your old community was, because I see they want to suck you down because you're such a light in the darkness, right? And sometimes they don't like that, you know. But light seeks out light. And if you're doing positive things, positive people will be around you, and positive things will happen. So,
good deal. Nick, you have another question, Nicholas?
No, I just wanted to reach out to you, Mr. Ponder, and say thank you, and thank you Hope for Prisoners for facilitating the 101 Christmases event last month, where we were able to see our families and interact with them in a way that we otherwise would not have been able to.
Yeah, it was
Thank
a
you.
lot of fun. You're very welcome. It was our absolute honor. So we can open up any other questions. Thank you for that, Nicholas. Open up any other questions, comments that you might have. We're going to make our way here in the room to Chaplain Finney. Chaplain, please stand up and ask. I feel like Walter Rivera over here.
Right, John. Thank you, John. And thank you, Deputy Chief Clarkson. After Nick, who's so profound,
He is,
isn't he?
Yeah.
He's incredible. I mean, when he's out and about, it's just going to be awesome. My question is just fluff compared to Nick's question, but I'm totally fascinated by how things work, the nuts and bolts of things. And you had mentioned F1, Formula One racing that came to Vegas. So how was your command and your jurisdiction affected? And what kind of adjustments did you have to make when they set up that whole F1 thing, which is going to be here every year for the next 10 years? And that's my question.
So it's a
Great question.
Thank you for the question. I've actually finished 2 briefings today. We're doing a little after action report for just kind of like, hey, what went good, what went bad, what we could do better. And so I just finished 2 hour-and-a-half meetings apiece throughout the day, talking about that same thing, pushing out surveys to talk about it because we want to learn from it. Me personally, I mean, I thought when you look at a special event, if anyone's coming to Las Vegas to do or anywhere across the country, Las Vegas is the place to do it. We have the most, the most outstanding staff. We have a special event section, and I talked about earlier. Each weekend is essentially a mega weekend. What we described before is like, hey, these are the mega event weekends. What are we going to do to, do this? Now every weekend is that, and we keep overcoming. So for me, it's the safety of the community is the biggest thing because, what I don't want to see happening is that what's the lifeblood of Las Vegas, obviously Las Vegas, but it's the state. Like everything that happens in Nevada starts in Vegas. So I want to make sure we're safe there. I think, I think the pushing communication out, because I was just talking about this, is that, in the news I saw is like, hey, there was a lot of animosity towards F1 coming because all the traffic shut down. I mean, I will say why they shut down the 95 and the 15 to 1 lane of traffic because of, during the construction. During F1, it was just, I mean, the orange cone is our state flower at this point, it's, they're everywhere. So I think just a little bit of that, the communication with the public, I thought would be important. I think we learned a lot just, between F1, the Las Vegas Grand Prix, the county, the city, the fire department, police department. We learned a lot about how to set this one up because this was unique. We shut down the Strip for 7 days, right? During the night. And then in most cities, what happens at nighttime? Things slow down, right? What happens in Las Vegas? Friggin' speeds up, right? It's busier during the night. So, I think we learned a few things there that will that'll help out the communication portion and just the little things that are going to streamline the processes moving forward, and hopefully knock out some of this road construction. Not my area, but open the back up because right now getting from one side of town to the other it's horrible. So I'm getting frustrated. So I recommend, for peace of mind, a good book on tape. Because you're going to be in traffic for a minute. So,
Yeah. Well, good deal. Great. Thank you, Chaplain Finney. Chief, we're going to stay right here in the room. And Ashley, I'm going to have you stand up. And then you need to step here just a little bit so the camera can see you. Ashley had a question, and it's kind of deep, but I'm going to give her the opportunity to ask it.
Okay, so I'm sure all of us, we've been in trouble, we've gotten in trouble, or we're here and changing our life. But what if you guys respond to somebody that has been hurt and the person, they killed the person, and maybe a loved one or maybe not a friend of a loved one? How do you guys view them if they were in this room now? Are they still viewed to you guys the same as because you're making a step, you're here changing, or do you guys view them differently, or is it case by case?
So, you're saying like you guys, so like cops in general, right? So I can't speak to every cop, I'll tell you, but every incident is unique. I can't I don't know the backgrounds to, what happened or why things happen. I never want to see anyone get hurt. What led anybody, and that comes to some of our decision making, up to the point, because usually if it's going to become to where someone's getting killed, there's obviously a very emotional incident that precipitated that, right? So for anyone in this room, all I expect is you right now is be a good human being. What are you giving to the rest of the community? What did, if someone was here hypothetically that's sitting in that chair that you just described, what are they giving back to atone for that? Because, what you did, that affects not only that person, the person that, committed the murder, that person's family, the person that is now in prison because of that, and their family. So it's such an echo when that happens. And then when you look at the financial aspect, there's this book called Bleeding Out, and the financial impact that one murder costs for the entire city. And it's millions of dollars for every single one of those. And so I would say, whatever you have to do, atone for it, whether it's your prison time, when you come out, you better be the best damn human being you've ever been. And you better give back to the community like you never have. And you better tell your story so somebody that is in that seat that is about, that could get there, or their pride's getting checked or something like that, they can say, hey, this is what's going to happen. This is what happened to me. This is what I lost when I went to prison, or something like, or those things. So you better, just give back. And because there's so much evil in this world, we can be absolutely 100% better, because you want to be happy. A smile is so much more satisfying than a frown. Seeing somebody pain is so much more hurtful than seeing somebody happy. So I will tell you, I guess that's a long way of saying, just do better. Do the absolute best and be the best you absolutely can be, and give back. Yeah. Great question.
Great question, Ashley. Great question. I want to recognize another great leader, two other great leaders in this room. I know everybody's a great leaders in this room, but I look over the corner and I see one of the greatest senators we have in the state of Nevada, Senator Pat Spearman. Would you please stand up and say hello to everyone? Thank you so much for being here. And then we also have Bob Bangkok from China Light. Would you stand up and say hello to everybody? One of the great nonprofits here in our community. Thank you for the work that you guys are doing. It is absolutely amazing.
And one of my good friends. We talk every day. We're communicating.
Is that right? Great leader. Great work that he's doing. Any other questions? Comment, make my way back over here.
There's one over here.
Where at? Over. All right, I'll be right. Get this. Well, maybe I should get you first, because this guy don't know how to shut up.
You've been working this left side of the room over
right.
here.
I'm going to come over here to her. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, you know what I'm talking about, right? Please stand up and tell us your name and what is that question or comment you might have for Chief Clarkson.
Yes. Hi. Thank you. My name is also Ashley. Hey, Ashley. Thank you for being here. You were talking about a test that you took to progress in your career. And it's not pass or fail. It's whatever score you get and you're going to do better. Am I understanding that correctly? Mm-hmm. Can you talk about, and forgive me if somebody already asked this because I had to step out, but can you talk a little about how the approach you took or what that drive was for you and how that can translate, beyond taking a police test?
Yeah. So when I thought about promoting to sergeant, sergeant's my first, you're police officer, then you promote to sergeant. And I'll tell you, the biggest reason, I promoted is because there was a bad boss on another squad. And I did not like the way they were treating that squad, made them miserable, weren't happy coming to work. And I think when you set out your day, you start your day, and as me as a sergeant, as a lieutenant, and a captain, every time I sat in front of cops, I could set the tone for the rest of their shift, right? I wanted them going out in the best mindset possible, to be the safest possible, to have the best interactions possible. And and I saw that, and I was like, you know what, I could do that better. And I didn't like the way that person was treating people. So said, and I'm like, there's no way that guy's going to be my boss. So I studied. So my study process is that I kind of looked at what's the best way to study practices. If I heard of somebody studying a certain way to do it, like making flashcards, so I made flashcards. I took practice tests because I heard people taking practice tests. I made voice recordings of myself, and I will tell you, you have to speak with inflection if you're going to make voice memos to yourself. Because if you speak with your normal voice and just like say, my name is Brandon Clarkson, you won't hear a thing. So saying like, policy 5/102 instead of like a radio announcer, just to get that inflection. And then I had a study partner. I made outlines, and then I would take all of my study material and I would read everything once, and I'd highlight it, what I thought was important. Then I took it again, and I got a different highlighter with a blue one, and I even skimmed it down more, what I needed to know. And then the third time I went through it, and I got a red pen. I'm like, they're gonna ask this question. They have to ask this question. And then I would study it nonstop. If I found time where I was like, okay, I gotta go chill, or I was gonna do something like fun, I was like, I gotta go study, because somebody out there is studying harder than me. And I didn't want anyone, I didn't want to say, hey, I could have done more. And if I said, if I could have done more, then I was like, well, I should have done more. And so I studied like I never wanted to take that test again. So I've taken, there's some people I would tell you, they'll test several times to get the one spot. I've tested for sergeant once, I tested for lieutenant once, and I tested for captain once. And it's just because I put the time and effort in. But part of that was, though, too, is meeting with people that have done it before. The mentors, the people that had been a lieutenant, the captain, like, what worked for you? How do I learn? So that's where, and you'll hear a theme here. A lot of it's mentoring, right? I ask for help, because one thing about humans I think is important is that we inherently want to help others. And I think I mentioned that earlier. We want to help. So when people reach out to help, like I want people like, hey, reach out. Like, yeah, I want to talk. Let's do it. We want to help each other succeed. That's the coolest part. So that's how that's what worked for me. And Senator, it's finally nice to see you in person. I know the only time we talked was when I was in Boulder Captain, and we talked on the phone. So nice to finally meet in person.
Great question. Give a hand for that. That was awesome. Man, what really stuck out there was that asking people what worked for you. Right? You see people doing things. I think I'm going to steal that and put that in my repertoire, right? But when we see people doing things, right? The simplicity of simply asking, what worked for you? How'd you do it? We're talking to Chief Brandon Clarkson of the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department. Open it up for any questions and comments. Chad, is there something I'm going to make my way back here. Is there somebody on Facebook? On Zoom? I'm going to have you read it.
What does your morning routine look like? And it was a double part. And how is your mother doing today?
Oh, great question. She's good. So I'll start with my mom. She's doing great. She still married to my dad, my stepdad, and he has raised me since I was 4 years old. I have another sister, so I have my twin brother and then my little sister, who's not so little anymore. She just had a baby, so that's cool. But she's doing great. And then my morning routine. So I will tell you, for mental health, for me, I think it's absolutely essential to have a routine. What I try to do in the morning, and if I can't get there in the morning, I wake up, early. I think it's important to have 7 hours of sleep. If you can get 7 hours, there was a therapist that came and talked to our executive staff a couple years ago. And she said that if you're getting less than 7 hours of sleep, you are not activating your frontal cortex, which is so you're not your best self. And it's not 5 hours of sleep. It's not 6 hours sleep. It's 7 hours of sleep. And that's hard. That is hard. So you have to make adjustments, do. And part of it, is just, putting a routine together, your sleep routine and trying to get that, now my phone calls throughout the night, whether it's a fatal car accident or a shooting, I get calls. The past 2 nights have been great because we didn't have those. So I didn't get woken up and I got to sleep. My morning routine, though, which is important, wake yourself up and make your bed, because you've already started, with success. You're better than you left it, right? But I try to hit the gym in the morning. And I say this is because it's just, for me, mental health. You release all these endorphins. You feel better about yourself throughout the day. If you can't hit the morning, then you're going to go in the evening, or do something. It doesn't always have to be the gym. It could be a walk or something like that. But you have to get your body moving. A body in motion stays in motion, right? You're going to be healthier, happier, releasing those endorphins. So for me, so I jokingly say is, it's like, oh man, you're looking bigger. And I'm like, that's the stress, because if I'm feeling stressed, I go to the gym because it helps me release that tension. And I will tell you, I don't know about other people, but some of my best ideas or my thoughtfulness and checking in on others is I'll be working out, my heart rate's high, I'm thinking about stuff, and I'm thinking, hey, we need to do this or need to do that, or I'll shoot a text to somebody that I care about, like, hey, just checking on you, haven't talked to you in a while, and for me, it makes me, I feel good, I feel better, and I feel refreshed. If you ever watch these reels, there's talking about going to the gym. It's like, oh man, I feel like crap. Oh, this feels like crap. Oh, I don't, eat like crap. And then as soon as you leave the gym, you're like, oh, I feel great, because you released all those endorphins. So that's my morning routine.
Good deal. Give him a hand for that, please. Hey, so we're coming up to the top of the hour, and I'm gonna tell you guys something really, really funny. Before I knew Chief Clarkson had a twin brother, I'd be out in the community, and I'm having a conversation with one of them, and they'll say something to me like, hey, what have you been up to? And I go through this big spiel about what it is we're doing. And then a half hour later, the other Clarkson would come up, and he would ask me, hey, man, what have you been up to? And I'm saying, wait, what?
Yeah.
That was before I knew he had a twin brother. So
yeah, we'll play it off too. If you see me, and it might be my brother, but like, hey, man, what's up? Just like, oh, and then he'll call me. It's like, hey, I met some guy with great hair and a pink shirt. So.
Yeah. So this is my question, because we have to come into the top of the hour, and I've kind of watched you over the years.
Yeah.
An incredible officer, man. Thank you for your service to our community. 18 years in law enforcement. What's next for Brandon Clarkson? I mean, do you have like aspirations of one day becoming sheriff?
Oh,
because I see it.
Oh,
I see it. But what's next? I don't want to put words in your mouth.
I've been a chief for 2 months.
Right.
So things happen. I think hard work will pay off. When we talked a lot about that, I was a captain for about 1.5 years, which is a relatively short time for captain. My dad was a captain for 8 years, before he retired. So being a captain for 1.5 years and then getting selected to be the chief, because as a chief, you get appointed by the sheriff. And so, and I'd like to think that it's work ethic, what you put in, the hard work. And I think that'll pay off. But I will tell you what, and I was talking to Rob about this earlier, is find your balance. I have a family. There was a leader that another mentor of mine. He was the undersheriff at the time, and it was a similar setting of this. We're talking about leadership, and I asked, we asked the question collectively, like, if you could have done anything different, you always been successful. If you could have done anything different, what would you have done? And he goes, I spend more time with my family. Make that baseball game with my kids. Show up to that dance program, with them, because there's only so much time for that. He goes, I might even still been married to my first wife. He had gotten divorced. He goes, there was a lot that he left out on the table because you focus too much. So, and I say this out loud because I'm saying it to myself as I say it to you, because it's important to find that balance between your work and your family, and it exists. So. That's my next step. One is to learn my new job as the chief.
That's right.
But one, to make sure I focus on that family life too, right, because they're the biggest thing that's going to support you through everything. They want to see you succeed more than anyone else. Because some people may get jealous of your success, but your family will always celebrate it. So
yeah,
that's for me. It's the next step. And then after that, I got 7 years left in this career, so who knows? Whatever's next, whatever is going to make me uncomfortable and challenge my process.
Good deal. Can we give Sheriff Clarkson a big round of applause? Man, thank you so much for coming out, and thank you for your tremendous leadership in our community and what it is, because I know you have a heart for this community. So thank you so very much. Thank you guys for joining us tonight and coming out tonight. I want to say thank you to everybody inside Nevada Department of Corrections, Clark County Detention Center, City of Las Vegas Detention Center, and those of you who are watching on the Hope for Prisoners Facebook live page. We'll be back next week for the Tuesday Night Huddle Up. We'll have another great leader that's going to come out and spend some time with us. And thank you so much for huddle up with us tonight. Good night. God bless you. We'll see you next week.